Now what about the continuous load? So continuous load we are going to do with the snow pipe. See the name itself is saying, right, pipe. So now if you want to collect some water, say now take a very basic example. When you on the tap in our home, the water will be until the tank is empty, the water will flow continuously. When you stop the tap, automatically it will stop it. So the snow pipe also, the name is a pipe. So you can continuously ingest the data into the particular Snowflake table. Now take a same example of in our water tank is our data file, our bucket is our table. So until the data is completely loaded into that bucket, you will be can on that particular tab and automatically it will continuously loading the data. So you can change the different tables and you can load the data into the different tables. How we are going to establish that connection and all, we will see as part of the demo. Now, the second important point here is if you are talking about snow pipe, the compute power will be taken care by the Snowflake, not taken care by us. It won't use the virtual warehouse compute resources. This is we called as a serverless task, serverless activity. So the major difference between bulk load and continuous load, bulk load will use the managed resources, compute resources by us, and Snowpipe will use the compute resources managed by Snowflake. We don't have any exposure or we don't have any control on that. The second point, bulk load frequency is less and continuous data frequency is almost near real time. Every 1 minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, like that. And continuous load is recommended for if you want to process the micro batches, in the sense less amount of data. But if you want to load the data, kind of a very huge number of records there in the file, we'll go with the bulk load. And while using the bulk load, when you are executing the copy command, there is a option for us to do the small transformations before loading the data into that particular table. So what are the transformations we can do that through copy command? We will see as part of the demo. Is it clear about the difference between bulk load and continuous load? Any
Yes.
doubts? Okay. So now we'll talk about first bulk load. Continuous load, we will discuss as a snow pipe as a separate session for that. We'll go deep dive into that detail level as part of that session. Now we are going to discuss about the bulk load because already we have covered about the how we can load the data through BabyY and how we can load data through SnowSQL. Now the third option is bulk load. So whenever you want to go with the bulk load, whenever you want to load the data into that particular table by using a bulk load option by executing the copy command. So there are certain steps needs to be taken care. So the first step will be prepare your files, which means you need to like basically the source team will extract the data from their tables and they will put that files in the form of CSV or JSON or Parquet and they're going to place the files into that particular stage. It could be external stage, whatever it may be. Mostly in real-time projects, 100% people will use the external stages. Internal stages so is used by us internally ourselves. But ideally, the source teams, they'll extract the data and they'll place the data into that particular file and it will place the files into that particular corresponding cloud platform. Either it could be AWS S3 or it could be Azure Blob or it could be GCP bucket. Once the files are placed into that particular staging area, the source team responsibility is done. So that is not our responsibility as the data engineers. Ideally, the source team people will extract the data and they're going to send the data into that particular stage. That is their activity. They will take care about that. Now, from the next step onwards, our responsibility, we are the owners for that. So we need to stage the data. We need to stage the data. So if you want to stage the data, what you need to do? You need to create a stage with a named stage and you need to create a file format. Once the stage is ready, file format is ready, then you are going to refer this particular external stage and you are going to create the stage inside the Snowflake by referring that particular path. Okay, in AWS S3, this file is there. I'm going to load this particular file into my Snowflake table. So this is the stage and this is the path. And based on that path, the Snowflake copy command will execute and it will go to that path and it will read the data and it will load the data into the particular Snowflake table. The third step is you are going to execute the copy command. Then managing regular loads in the sense you are going to schedule your jobs. It could be either daily ones, weekly ones, whatever you want. So these are the major steps we'll follow as part of the bulk load. First, we need to prepare the files. That is a source team responsibility. They will take care about that file preparation and they'll place the file into the staging area. Now coming to the stage the data. That is our responsibility. In order to stage the data, we need to create a file format and we need to create the stage by referring that particular external stage path. Then execute the copy command. This is also our responsibility. You can execute this copy command manually, or you can execute this copy command through task, or you can execute this copy command through procedure via task. Multiple ways are there. Then final thing is you need to schedule your jobs. Daily at 5 o'clock or daily at 6 o'clock, you can schedule the job and it will load the data into Snowflake table. Now data ingestion from the internal stages. This is already we have covered. Just I want to give a quick recap. So what it will support, structured, semi-structured, what kind of data, whatever it may be, it will support everything. So you need to put the file into that particular stage by using the SnowSQL command. Then you need to run the copy command so that automatically the data will be loaded into the Snowflake table, right? So this is already we have discussed as part of the stages demo. So all these data types will support. So we are logging into the SnowSQL by using the SnowSQL account name and username. Once you log in the Snowflake, you are executing the put command, put that particular file path, file name, and that particular stage name. Then the data will be stored in internal stage. Then you are going to execute the copy command, and this copy command is going to read the data from this internal stage and it will load the data into that particular table. This is how already we have covered. So I'm not going spend so much time there. Now coming to the external stages. This is the most important thing. So now we have discussed already. It will support 3 cloud platforms as of now: AWS S3 buckets, Microsoft Azure Containers Blob or ADLS, Google Cloud Buckets. So now these are the 3 cloud platforms. So when I'm talking about the stage creation, so if you want to create a stage for external stage, so here create replace stage name, and here we will provide that particular file location. So in AWS S3, so this is the my file location, this is the my file name, and storage integration we need to create it. So why we need to create the storage integration? What is the significance of the storage integration here? As I mentioned, you need to establish the connection between Snowflake table and AWS S3 bucket. See, now the source team is placing the files into the AWS S3. How you are going to access the data? You should need access, right? You cannot directly access that files, right? So how the Snowflake will get that access? Through this particular storage integration. So as part of the storage integration, we are going to give that particular S3 bucket credentials. So once we are using this particular storage integration, this particular stage will have the access to a particular file which is residing in the AWS S3 bucket. So basically the storage integration, it contains the S3 bucket accesses or Azure Blob accesses related stuff. So this is the new thing here when we are talking about the external stages. But when we are talking about internal stages, there is no concept of storage integration. There is no concept of URL and all. We just create a replace and we'll give the file format. That's all. Copy into this particular table from that particular internal stage. So internal stage, we are not providing any path and all. We'll just mention that internal stage name, dollar, internal stage name, not dollar, at the rate, internal stage name, and then we'll give a file format. That is as simple as with the internal stages. But coming to the external stages, basically you need to establish the connection between that external stage and Snowflake environment. So that's where the storage integration will come into the picture, and we will see that what are the components are available, storage integration and all detail level as part of the demo. So don't worry about that. So these are the kind of a sample external stage creations for all 3 cloud platforms. Here the common thing is storage integration is important. important, and you are going to provide the file path also. So these are the external stages we are going to create as part of our day-to-day act. Not every time. Once you create that, then it will be enough. Every time on daily basis, what are the files are coming to that particular stage, you are going to load the data into that particular table based on business requirement. Is it clear? Anybody has any queries about these sectional stages? Overview, demo wise we will see. Don't worry about that.
Sir, like internal stages, we put the data in a stage first and then copy into the table.
Yes.
So it's also same in a external stage.
External stage, functionality wise same, but the files and all we are not going to put into that stage. Files will be placed by the source team because that stage is residing in outside. You don't have access for that directly. Only source team people will have access to that. They are going to place the file, but you are going to give a secure connection with the Snowflake by using the storage integration, and then you are going to run the copy command. The functionality was same. The only technically syntactically difference while creating the stage, you will be giving the access stuff for this particular Snowflake environment from the external stage. But the functionality wise, yes, of course, you are just going to create a stage and you are going to run the copy command. So now if you see like S3 buckets, so all the data files will be residing in the cloud platform in S3 bucket. And this is not comes under Snowflake scope or these files are not residing inside the Snowflake environment. So this is something the source team will be taking care about this setup and all everything. Okay. But for you people as a training demo purpose, I will do the setup and I'll show you. So but in real time, you don't need to do the setup. Everything will be taken care by the project teams. And once the files are available, then your actual work will start. So you need to create the external stage and you are going to establish the connection between S3 and Snowflake table, and you are going to run the copy command. Then the data will be loaded from this particular data files into the database table. And this Snowflake will use the virtual warehouse. So now here, so there is another option, straightforward option. You can directly load the data from that particular S3 bucket to Snowflake table without having that external stage, but that is not a recommended approach. That is, it will expose all our credentials and all to the other people and all. So this is not recommended approach, but still the Snowflake is providing the facility. But we will follow this approach. We'll create that external stage and we will establish the connection between the Snowflake database and S3 bucket, and we are running the copy command to load the data from this particular S3 files to Snowflake table. Same way for Azure also. Same way for Google Cloud also. This cloud platform, it could be different with respect to the organization. The functionality wise, everything will be same. So out of these three, AWS is the most popularly using, and the Azure is nowadays also people are using so many organizations. Google Cloud, it is just started. It is going on. So now these are the two options I was saying, right? Like one is you can directly create external stage and you can load it, or other one is without having this external stage and all, you can directly load it. So these are the two options. So what is mean by we need to do this configuration? What is mean by IAM role? What is how it looks like AWS? So this everything I'll take one session tomorrow separately. We'll create a AWS account and we'll create the S3 bucket. Then we will do that. I'll walk through that web UI and I'll make you people familiar with that AWS S3 or AWS portal. Then you'll get more clarity on that. So configure storage integration object to delegate authentication responsibility for the external cloud storage to Snowflake identity and access management. So this is the highly recommended option. You need to create the storage integration. The other option also, you can directly create the IAM user into that particular Snowflake to access the S3 bucket, and you can directly pass that credentials and you can read the data from that S3 bucket and you can run the data into that particular Snowflake table. This is not recommended approach. But what is mean by IAM role? How I am going to establish the connection? What is the external stage? What I am going to do as part of that? This I'll show as part of the demo. Don't worry about that as of now. So now what it will happen? Snowflake is like if you are creating a storage integration, what it will do, particular this storage integration, it contains this particular S3 bucket credentials. So if I want to access the data from this particular S3, I need access to read the data from this S3, right? So this is a kind of a, just assume a one folder in your laptop. So if you set up some password for that folder, will be able to access everybody? Can't, right? Whoever knows that password, they can enter that password, then they can open the folder from the laptop. Similar way here, the AWS is providing a so much safeguarding their data, right? They won't give direct access to you. So whenever somebody is placing the files into that particular S3 bucket, it will encrypt and it will safeguard by the S3. So now, in order to read the data from that S3, we need officially get a permission from the S3 bucket. So that S3 bucket permissions, basically credentials, in order to log into that S3 and in order to get the data, we need to create this particular integration. And this particular integration will contain all these details. I'll show tomorrow how it looks like, what is the difference and all. So when you want to configure this, these are the steps we need to follow. Even though if I'm explaining these steps, we won't get anything now. As part of demo, I'll go walk through step by step what we are doing. And these are the important steps during interviews also. I'll walk through you people step by step process as part of the demo. Now, copy command. So copy command, we have already seen copy into particular table name, and from that particular internal or external stage location, files and file format we will give, and we have a validation modes also. Is it like if you are running the command, it will do the validations before loading the data into that particular table, and it will let you know. So how it will let you know what is the significance of these modes, validation modes? Basically, what are the options are available for this copy command? We will see tomorrow as part of the demo session. So don't worry about that. So as I mentioned, when we are executing this copy command, you can do these small transformations, which means from the data is loading into that particular table, from feed file to particular table, you can do these transformations. For example, feed file having 10 columns in a sequence order. Now I have created a table by mistakenly, these 10 columns in coming as a different order. So when I'm running the copy command, I can match the columns by explicitly specifying the column names, and I can load the data into that particular table. That is a column reordering, column omission in the sense, for example, my feed file having 10 columns, but my table having only 9 columns. That other 10th column is not required for me. So I can skip that column while copying the data into that particular table. That also how we can do through this copy command, we will see. Casting in the sense, you want to convert some data type, data dates and all, formats and all, you can use the casting option. Truncate text strings that exceeded the target column length. For example, in my feed file, I have a column having a maximum size is, I assume it is a kind of a 2K. So in Snowflake table also, I have created with the column size is a 2K. But unfortunately, there are some junk data is present in the feed file. It is having kind of a more than 2K records. So when we are running the copy command, it will fail. So in order to correct that, we can use the truncate and we can trim that particular column value, and you can load the data into the particular table. So this is about small transformations before loading the data into the Snowflake, we can do through copy command. As part of the copy command execution, all these possibles are achievable, or options are available. Okay, so any questions with respect to the overview of the data loading? So I'll show demo, post demo, you'll get more clarity on that. If you have any queries, we'll discuss there. Okay, so that's all from my end.